All right, we got a ton of people who want to weigh in. Let's go to the Outkick VIP line. First, you can sign up for the Outkick VIP at Outkick.com. Jason in Ohio, what you got?
Morning, Clay. How you doing?
Excellent. How are you?
Good. I have two things. First thing is, I don't know how in the world Twitter hasn't banned this as hate speech to blatantly call someone a white supremacist. I don't get it. But secondly, I think it's time that we take the same stance that the liberals take, and we just need to cancel ESPN. I mean, we need to push the SEC and college football to cancel ESPN. And, that's all I got to say. I'm on my way to work right now. I'm going to log into ESPN, cancel my Plus subscription. It's just, I'm over it. They're done, and we really need to start pushing some of these leagues to cancel contracts or do whatever, because it's getting out of hand.
Yeah, it's an interesting call because my point on this, and I'm reading, again, ESPN has, somebody can look up exactly how many Twitter followers they have, but it's way more than Colin Kaepernick. What they are doing when they share a Colin Kaepernick statement that says that policing is a white supremacist institution that must be abolished for the safety and well-being of our people. That's what Colin Kaepernick said. Within a few minutes of Colin Kaepernick and ESPN sharing this, maybe within an hour, 2 police officers in Louisville get shot. That is directly connected. ESPN has 35.8 million followers. They took what Colin Kaepernick said, abolish the police, which can be taken literally by some people, as in, I'm going to abolish you. I'm going to shoot you. I'm going to seek to wipe you off the planet. That's what Colin Kaepernick is saying. And by the way, it's an opinion that almost no one has. Something like 85% of inner city residents don't believe in abolishing the police. Colin Kaepernick doesn't live in the inner city. He isn't in danger. He's super rich. When you say abolish the police, what you are saying is actually black lives don't matter, because no one protects more black lives and white lives and Asian lives and Hispanic lives than the police. And I'm just fired up by the idea that anyone with a functional brain could think that the solution to violence in this country is eliminating the people who helped to stop it from happening. Who are you going to call 911 when something bad happens to you at your house? You going to call a community organizer? I mean, it's lunacy. Anyone who is arguing to abolish the police doesn't have a functional brain, or they're seeking to sow division and destruction in this country. And we have to call out stupidity. Instead, ESPN is directly sharing with 36 million of their followers an idea that I believe is directly connected to cops being shot who are doing nothing other than trying to protect people all day long as a part of their job. And by the way, they aren't even being paid that well to do it. We got police officers listening to us all over the country in all 50 states right now, literally listening to us. And they all will tell you their lives have never been more in danger than right now. 40% this year, police shootings are up. 40%. People are being killed like crazy who are police officers. They are being shot like crazy. They are being disrespected at a level that has never occurred in this country's history. And sports leagues are a big reason why that's happening. And the fact that people in my industry won't speak out and back police officers is a big reason why it's happening. I'm fired up about it. We're taking your calls, 877-996-6369. This is Outkick. I appreciate all of you hanging out with us on Fox Sports Radio. We are reacting to what I believe, I just sent out this tweet, which I think kind of succinctly sums up what I believe is a major issue that's going on in the country right now. The anti-police narrative being shared by many athletes in this country right now directly connects to police officers being shot at alarming rates. Far from making America better, most athletes, leagues, and teams are making the country more dangerous and less safe for people of all races. And that's true. The shooting rate, the murder rate, it's all skyrocketed since the George Floyd protests began. And athletes who are out there issuing no comments like LeBron James did when he was directly asked about the LA police shootings and not offering up any money or not offering up any support for the LA police, it leads to an overall culture of disrespect for police officers, which leads directly to what we saw last night, 2 police officers being shot. And I am so sick and tired of people who don't understand the criminal justice system, who aren't lawyers, not being able to comprehend when charges are not brought. A grand jury in Louisville looked at all the evidence surrounding the Breonna Taylor case and did not believe that charges against the police officers, other than the one they brought, was justified. That's because a police officer was shot by Breonna Taylor's boyfriend, who was a drug dealer, when they showed up at that house. When you shoot a police officer, you are then not able to be upset when the police fire back. That's what happened in Louisville. Okay? Those are the facts. The Attorney General of Kentucky, it shouldn't matter what the race is or the gender or the ethnicity or the religion of any attorney general, but he's black. Do you think he wants someone to be shot and killed because of their race? Of course not. He looked at all of the evidence. They presented it to a grand jury, a diverse group of Louisville citizens, and all of those people sitting and looking at all of the evidence were not willing to indict police officers. The American criminal justice system is imperfect, but it is the best criminal justice system that has ever existed in the history of the world. Disrespecting police, sharing disrespect of police, as ESPN did, directly leads to police shootings skyrocketing, which is why they are up over 40% so far this year. It's why over 40 police officers have been murdered in cold blood in this country. Almost none of those police officer murders receiving a scintilla of the attention of the Breonna Taylor case. This is a national tragedy, what is going on. Far from making things worse, athletes, teams, and leagues are making things far from making things better, athletes, teams, and leagues are making things worse. The data is straightforward and clear. More people are being shot when you argue that police should be abolished. More people are being murdered when you argue that police should be abolished. And do you know who the vast majority of those people being shot and murdered are? Black people. If black lives truly matter, then police matter on a level that most simply aren't willing to acknowledge in the world of athletics. I'm fired up about it. I am speaking out, even though most people in the sports media industry will shut their mouths and not share the facts with you. I am not afraid of speaking truth to power, and that's what we're doing this morning. 877-996-6369. Who's up next? I believe we have another Outkick VIP down in Florida. Danny G, who is it?
It is Andrew.
Andrew, what you got for me?
Yeah, good morning, Clay. Piggybacking off of what you just said about speaking the truth, when you had Frank Isola on and kind of off of your opening about LeBron's no comment, when you asked Frank, about that, he said it was kind of weird that LeBron had no answer considering he had a couple weeks to think about an answer. And then you kind of pressed Frank on it, and he said, well, LeBron didn't want to upset anybody. Well, so Frank kind of took a no comment on his own.
Yeah.
But who is LeBron going to upset by supporting the police? Think
that's
about
the
how backwards that is.
Amen. First of all, thanks for being a VIP. Thanks for calling in. When saying don't shoot police officers and anybody who shoots police officers should be brought to justice upsets people, that's how backwards athletics has become. Think about that. If LeBron James is worried about upsetting his followers by saying don't shoot police officers and you deserve to go to jail and we have to catch people when they shoot police officers, and oh, by the way, here's $100,000 to support that, which is what the LA County Police requested. Hey, speak out, LeBron. and he wouldn't do it. I'm putting our money where our mouth is. We're not as wealthy at Outkick as LeBron is, but Jason Whitlock and myself put forward $10,000 for the capture of the person who shot the 2 LA police officers on cold blood and video. We did what the LA County Sheriff asked LeBron to do. We stepped up and put our money where our mouth is and said, this is unacceptable. We need to catch the guys who did this shooting. And this is what has me so fired up, is everything is very bipolar now, right? You're either, and I've been arguing this for months and really years on this show, all police are not perfect. Humans are imperfect by nature. Demagoguing and saying abolish all police like Colin Kaepernick did leads to far more murders, far more shootings. It's like a purge situation every day, everywhere. The places where police are the least able to enforce the law are the places with the highest rates of crime in America. And when you demonize police, the murder rate and the shooting rate skyrockets all over this country in inner cities. And the people who are victims of that crime, black. There are hundreds of people in this country right now who are dead because police have been demonized and they weren't able to do their job. That's an incontrovertible fact since the summer protests began. And it's like nobody will look at the data and actually speak out about it because they're too busy spending 5 minutes on a viral video sharing their thoughts and not actually knowing any of the facts behind it. All right, we got loaded lines, I believe, 877-996-6369. You can pop them up one at a time. Dub, what you got?
Yeah, we got Dan in Tennessee.
Dan, fire away.
Hey, man, I'm in Virginia now. I told Dub when he answered the phone, when your show first started out, I didn't care for you a whole lot. But I've been listening to you. You're one of the most reasonable people that I listen to. And I really like a lot of your takes, and I like you and Jason Whitlock when you guys go back and forth. And I just want to say, it doesn't matter what color, race, ethnicity you are, religion you are. You're either a good person or you're a bad person.
Thank you. I agree. I mean, I think judging anyone based on their race, gender, religion, ethnicity, sexuality, all those things are wrong. But I believe that every individual should have equal rights in this country and that they should be treated in a respectful fashion. And guess who that includes? The police. Who's up next?
We got Smitty in California.
Smitty in Cali, what's up?
Hey, good morning, Mr. Travis. Listening to you on 95.7 FM here in the Bay Area. I just want to say your opening monologue generated my first time ever to call your program. To describe your show in one word, it would be mom spelled upside down. Wow. Just beautiful. Your commentary about James and Kaepernick, right on, man. The media is afraid to tell the truth. You have a great radio voice. It's solid, it's deep, and right on, Clay. Really dig your show. And are you a lawyer? And what books have you done?
Yeah, thanks for the call. Wow. I need to start. That's one of the best calls we've ever gotten. I do have a great voice. I appreciate you. My mom agrees with all the comments.
Wow, that sounded like a paid caller.
I wish. I need to look. Yes, I have written several books. The most recent is Republicans Buy Sneakers 2, which you can get autographed copy of by being an Outkick VIP. Dixieland Delight, about my love for college football in the South in particular. And on Rocky Top, I was embedded years and years ago with the University of Tennessee football team for a season. But if you like this radio program, and I know many of you do, and I know a lot of you because we added 1 million listeners from August to September, a lot of you are moving in new, right? Our audience is exploding in a good way, and I appreciate all of you for that. A lot of you are coming to the show and just finding us. And if you like what we're doing on this radio program, you really should just go to Outkick.com and start to consume a lot of the content that we're having there. I mean, look, I haven't looked at the most recent numbers for the past couple of days, but we were on track for approaching 15 million readers at Outkick.com in September, which will be a new record. And all of this, our radio program, our podcast, basically our worldview is encompassed in Outkick, and what we are First Amendment absolutists. And so that's why we open up phone lines, which almost no national shows do, and allow people to weigh in. By the way, are you guys, I'll let Dub kind of get those lines, 877-996-6369. LeBron James no commenting in response to the L.A. County Sheriff's request that he donate money to help catch the people. You guys live in L.A., Danny G. That's crazy. Is it as crazy to you as it is to me that LeBron issued a no comment to that question?
Well, he was put in sort of an awkward position by that money being asked of him. So that I'm not so sure on. But him not saying anything, Mookie Betts came out.
Yeah, to his credit. And the Dodgers did.
And I'm glad I stood up for Betts back after the opening day of Major League Baseball, because there were quite a few Twitter profiles arguing on my page because I had a picture of him up. And they're like, this guy makes so many millions of dollars. He shouldn't kneel. He shouldn't say anything. And I'm like, just because you have millions of dollars doesn't mean you can't have an opinion. And also, I think he proves that you can have an opinion, put your money where your mouth is, and then also support police, because he said, I'm angered and disappointed by the ambush of the 2 LA deputies in Compton. My prayers are with both deputies. #justice for all.
Yeah.
At the same time, he puts money into the communities that he's a part of, including where you're from. And so he does do the work off the field, and he also asks for the best out of the police. So he's on both.
Which is what everybody should want. That's what I've said on this show for months.
Sides.
You can simultaneously be in favor of justice for all and also believe that most police are doing a great job and that we need to protect their lives too. I'm anti-death, as I have said on this show for a long time. I wish none of us ever died, right? I wish I was immortal. I would love to live for hundreds of years. I really would. Some people might not want to live for hundreds of years. I would love to. I love my life. I love waking up every day and getting to experience something new. I genuinely do. I think I have the best job in America. But I am incredibly troubled by this polarization, by this idea that if you're upset with what happened in the Breonna Taylor case, that you believe all police should be abolished. We've created a world where destruction, and I keep harping on this, destruction is easier than construction. It's a lot harder to build up a justice system that works for all than it is to just be angry and try to tear things down. And it seems like we are in a part of our culture now in American society where people get mad at something and they just tear it down. And it's not an adult response. It's not the way that adults should deal with challenges. For the old analogy, it's like, I'm going to take my ball and go home. Oh, the police upset me for something. Well, they shouldn't exist anymore. Really? That's the response? And ESPN, again, to me, is making it a lot worse by using a guy like Colin Kaepernick, who frankly has never, in my experience, ever said anything intelligent. Have you ever watched Colin Kaepernick be interviewed in any kind of significant way, or watched him speak in any significant way and thought, my goodness, this guy said something really compelling or interesting or thought-provoking? I mean, Jason Whitlock calls him mute Muhammad Ali because he never speaks out. And we had Armando Salguero on a while back, for those of you who listen to the program regularly, and point out that when Colin Kaepernick's actually been pushed on his political beliefs, most of them are illogical. Like, he praised Cuba and Fidel Castro for what a great job they have done. Cuba is in our area, within 100 miles of the United States, the poorest place almost in our hemisphere. And they have the least human rights. And the reason why they still drive around in cars from the 1950s is because they don't have any kind of capitalist economy. And they can drag anybody out of the streets and put them in prison for life if they say something that makes the leaders of Cuba uncomfortable or unhappy. And that's who Colin Kaepernick wants to point to as who America should be emulating. It's crazy, especially for many of you listening to me right now in South Florida who fled that socialism, that communism, that lack of freedom to come to America. I mean, we got people dying every single day trying to get their feet on the soil of this country. That happens every day. Every single day, people are risking their lives to be able to just stand on the earth that you are fortunate enough, many of you, to have been born in and or to have immigrated to. That's how desperate people are to get to American land, just to be able to stand on the ground that we all very often take for granted. They will die to do it. It's crazy. Let's go continue to take some more of your calls. I'll also let everybody weigh in. Eddie, you disappointed LeBron? No commented when he was asked to respond to the LA County Sheriff?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't understand the logic in if you feel that there is injustice involving the police in a certain case, okay, that's fine if you want to speak out on it, but to not speak out as well when something happens violent to police who are just sitting in a police car and somebody walks up on them and tries to kill them, to say no comment and to not speak out on that as well, it makes no sense to me. I don't understand why that is somehow controversial to say that, really.
Why it's controversial. Don't shoot police officers.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's crazy. Roberto, you agree?
I don't really care for what LeBron has to say, so I really don't really care about it too much.
You just don't care about what LeBron has to say about anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even that, you even say that as a Laker fan.
Oh yeah. I've never really been a LeBron fan.
Yeah.
To begin with, so.
All right, let's take some more of your calls, and then we've got Jeff Schwartz coming, and we'll dive into a turn of the NFL for Week 3. Who's up next, Dub? And by the way, Dub, I'm assuming you do not agree with LeBron no commenting, but we haven't asked you.
That would be a correct assumption, yes.
I mean, if you like, the First Amendment is alive and well in the show, but I think when you're asked to condemn the shooting of police and step up and donate money for their capture, and you comment it like LeBron James did, I'm assuming most people don't think that is what they would do, right? Hey, Dub, do you support the execution of police officers who are doing nothing but sitting in their cars? I don't think I need to ask whether or not you agree with that, but it's crazy, LeBron no commenting. I mean, it truly is insane, particularly because he had a couple of weeks to decide what he was going to say to that question, and then he no comments. And by the way, the fact that it took a couple of weeks to be asked is a sign of how captured the NBA media is and how lacking they are in typical guts to speak truth to power. Who's up next?
We got Kim in Indiana.
Kim, what you got for me?
Good morning, and thank you for taking my call. I want to start by saying that I appreciate you. You tell us that every day, every hour, even when you're live on Facebook, and it's very admirable. And I signed up to be a VIP while I was on hold.
Well, thank you.
Because I want to support your show. And I do want to thank a previous caller for mentioning about canceling his ESPN account. I forgot I even had one, so I canceled that this morning. I totally agree with everything that you were saying this morning. LeBron saying no comment and Colin Kaepernick with his comments on Twitter is just incredibly shameful and irresponsible, not only as an athlete but as a human being. And I think what would really help this world is for more people to speak out like you do, which is why you're getting so many new listeners and why I'm glad that I found you in August. So thank you for all that you do. I appreciate it. Oh, and one thing I wanted to mention was I was out yesterday at a local establishment, and ESPN was on. They started showing highlights of an NBA game, and the channel was changed in the establishment because they didn't want to watch even the back of the jerseys on the highlights. So they are losing business.
Thank you. Yeah, look, NBA ratings are tanking. And I think a big reason why NBA ratings are tanking is because they have lost a connection with their audience. A huge percentage of them. I talked about this, and I find it to be so fascinating. Michael Jordan, to me, represented trying to lift everyone up. This is the biggest difference to me between Michael Jordan and LeBron James. LeBron James very often is trying to tear things down. The reason why Michael Jordan worked is because he was telling you, aspire to be like me. Remember Be Like Mike, greatest commercial probably ever done, I believe, in the history of sports. You probably already, if you're my age, remember that jingle, that Gatorade commercial. I can still remember it very well. Michael Jordan was trying to lift all of us up, white, black, Asian, Hispanic. And in his reflection and image, his effort to be better, he was lifting up America. And he tried to speak to everyone. Michael Jordan would never say no comment if he were asked about the execution of 2 police officers in Los Angeles and whether he was willing to help going forward catch their shooters. To me, LeBron James, with his platform, and many other athletes following LeBron's lead, are leading to more shootings and more deaths because they are sowing division. And social media in general is sowing division. It's creating extremism in our country. And I think you can directly connect social media's rise with anger, dissension, discord, destruction in this country also rising. It's not a coincidence. Who's up next?
We got Marcus in Birmingham.
Marcus, what you got for me?
Hey, great show, Clay. I agree with your monologue 1,000%. And what really makes me cringe is a few hours from now when a black person calls you and say, "Hey, Clay, you don't know how it is to be black and get killed by the police." Look, I live in Birmingham, Alabama, the inner city. The police is not our problem. It's us killing each other. I have family members, citizens who are scared of going out the house because of the team down the street shooting them for nothing. We want the police. I don't know why they're trying to abolish the police. They're rich. They got security guards, armed security guards, gated community. They're not us. They act like they're us, but they're not, and they do nothing to help us. How is Nelly going to help inner city guys from getting killed? And all this propaganda, you're not saying this, but this Soros-funded stuff to the ESPN, CNN, all this propaganda, you're exactly right. It gets in these uneducated people's mind, and they just do things. It fires me up too, Clay. Great show.
I appreciate it. Thanks for the call, Marcus. Look, we are all, I believe, and this is what sports is so important for. Whether you are listening to me right now and you're white, black, Asian, or Hispanic, we all have far more in common than we do different, right? And that's true whether you're a white, black, Asian, Hispanic police officer or whether you're a white, black, Asian, Hispanic sports fan, whether you're male or female. And to me, what Michael Jordan represented and what sports should represent is the idea of unifying everyone, right? The fact that we all have more in common than we do apart. And what I see happening far too often is everybody's trying to appeal to tiny little swaths of the population, a small identity. And this is why, frankly, I'm just fired up when I see things like abolish the police. And I think Marcus is speaking the truth there. The inner city residents are just like suburban residents. They don't want the police gone. They want to be able to pick up their phone and call 911 when there's danger in their neighborhood and know that police are going to respond immediately and make things safer. And that's what happens 99.99% of the time when police get called. Who's up next? I'm trying to get all your calls in before we go to Jeff Schwartz. Who's up next, Dub?
Yeah, last one here. We got Tom in St. Louis.
Tom, what you got?
Hey, Clay. Great show. Great word. As far as LeBron James, and that's not why I called, but here's a guy that spends time with Warren Buffett and doesn't want to be a basketball player but wants to be an enterprise and a franchise. And Clay, both as an attorney with a practice and as a businessman that has a show, you're a part of your local community. And whether it's money for Little League or churches or when there's a flood or fire or whatever damage, business owners are expected to jump in and pitch in without questions and be, quote, good corporate citizens. I just think his actions are reprehensible. You know.
Thank you for the call, and I appreciate all the people who want to weigh in. One of the reasons why we open up phone lines uniquely and more so than almost anybody in national radio is because I want to allow as many people as possible to have a voice. You don't have to agree with me, right? The First Amendment is alive and well on this show, but I feel like many of you are frustrated and feel like you can't actually speak out, and that's why I think the marketplace of ideas is so important and why this show is surging is because when there is a real debate, I think it brings people together. And I don't mean a debate where somebody says something and you immediately say, oh, that's racist or sexist or homophobic or unacceptable, right? I feel like a huge percentage of you right now, when you're on Facebook or you're on social media or wherever you are, you constantly live in fear of being fired, right? I think that fear is just hanging over everybody's shoulders, whether you're white, black, Asian, Hispanic, doesn't matter. This politically correct society that we have created has an idea that there's only certain acceptable opinions. And when we do that, and I think the tech companies have helped to create this universe, we are artificially curtailing real debate in this country and leading to an idea which has virtually no support. Colin Kaepernick arguing to abolish the police. ESPN is trying to spread it to 36 million of their sports fans. Hardly anyone wants to abolish the police. No one, black, white, Asian, Hispanic, no one wants to abolish the police. Even Joe Biden came out and said, hey, I don't want to abolish the police. There isn't a Democrat or Republican with any kind of functional brain that wants to abolish the police, except for Colin Kaepernick, and ESPN's trying to treat him like he is some sort of genius, when in reality, just about every argument he's made is bankrupt when you actually examine it on a logical basis.